Afternoon, KYRA community, and welcome to KYRA Connect. It's my great pleasure to be joined by Marie-Claire Bretherton this afternoon. For those of you who don't know Marie-Claire, she's the Education Director at Anthem Schools Trust, which includes the KYRA Alliance and KYRA Research School. Founder of the KYRA Teaching School Alliance, Marie-Claire is with us today to share her thoughts on the changing educational landscape in Lincolnshire. So wishing you a warm welcome, Marie-Claire, this afternoon. I'm so pleased you can be with us today. So perhaps we should start by acknowledging that this next year, KYRA will be celebrating its 10th birthday. Can you tell us about the journey so far?
Oh, thank you, Leslie, and colleagues, it's really great to connect with you. And I have to say, I'm really loving these KYRA Connect videos. And Lauren and Sam, you did a brilliant job on the last one that I watched. So thank you. It's a really good way of just connecting with one another. So yes, Leslie, thank you for that introduction. I mean, I think it's probably fair to say, I don't think I would say I was the founder of KYRA. I think KYRA was really started as a group of heads who started meeting together in Lincoln City, maybe like 12 or 13 years ago. And KYRA was kind of born out of that partnership of head teachers working together. And KYRA remains ultimately a partnership between leaders who are trying to make the best decisions and provide the best leadership and support for their school and for their teachers and their children and young people. So, and yes, KYRA technically will be 10 next year. So I'm hoping that when the pandemic lifts, we can have some kind of gathering, and I'm thinking cake and, you know, some balloons maybe, and a bit of entertainment from some of our colleagues. So yeah, it's fantastic to think of the journey that we've been on really over the last 10 years. And I guess as we sort of look to changes in the landscape, it's important to recognise where we started and where we've come from. So we were designated as a teaching school back in 2012, given a mandate, if you like, from the Department for Education to provide great support for teachers and leaders and collaboration in Lincolnshire. And as I say, the group of heads that were kind of the pioneers and the founding group, if you like, established our alliance back in 2012. And our aim was that we would be a sustainable improvement community that focuses on developing great teaching, great leaders, and supporting one another to improve our schools. And that's kind of where we started. And obviously it's growing year on year, and we've had more schools come and work with us, and we've seen real flourishing in the relationships that we've had with one another. So yeah, a really big journey that we've been on, if you like, over that period of time. And so where I think I'm really excited is that the DFE asked us to be sustainable, to build relationships, to build this community of learning, and we have absolutely achieved that. And although there are shifts on the horizon in terms of the wider Lincolnshire context, KYRA has done what it was asked of it and more. And there are lots of things that have happened in the KYRA community that were never things the DFE ever asked us to do or mandated us to do. But because we've learned from one another and supported one another, we've responded with what's right. So things like the KYRA Kids work, peer review, even the work we're doing at the moment through GLOW, all of those things are things that have come from leaders in the Alliance and their contribution to one another.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. So there is a change in the landscape now with the introduction of teaching school hubs. What does that mean for the KYRA community?
Yeah, so it's a really fantastic opportunity for the KYRA community. So the DFE have announced a policy, which I think is probably one of the most exciting policies that we've had come from the department in a number of years. And the reason it's exciting is because it really focuses on developing great teachers and supporting leadership. And that's very much at the heart of what KYRA is about. And those of you who are close to the KYRA community, you will know that our DNA, if you like, our values, our way of working really centres on being a learning community, but it also centres on quality and impact. So holding ourselves to account for the quality and impact of our work together. And so the Teaching School Hub and the department's policies around early careers teachers and the newly reformed suite of MPQs is just another way that we can harness that and use it to develop the great teachers and great leaders within the Alliance. What it means for KYRA, though, the DFE will take away the badge, if you like, of teaching school, and with it they'll take away our core grant. But as far as I'm concerned, and many of you across the Alliance I know feel similarly, there is nothing the department can do to take away the KYRA DNA and our commitment to one another. And so the KYRA Alliance is here, it will remain, it will grow and flourish. We will still look to one another when we're assessing the kind of needs that we've got and the areas that we want support on. We will harness the expertise across our network of schools to bring great professional development and support. So there will still be a KYRA Alliance and a KYRA offer, and that will be really strengthened by the work of the KYRA Research School, as well as KYRA Mobilise, as well as the KYRA support for early careers teachers. So there is a huge wealth of connectivity. So as I say, what the department have mandated is this centralised support for early careers teachers and those MPQs. But there is absolutely so much of the work of the KYRA Alliance that is not filled by that department policy, if you like. So actually our commitment to one another in a way needs to continue and strengthen, focusing on what our kind of collective responsibility is for KYRA children and young people and KYRA schools.
Brilliant, brilliant, thank you. And finally, what do you see as being the future for KYRA, Marie-Claire?
So I think the future for KYRA, if I look into the future, I really hope that in years to come, sort of 10 or 20 years to come, teachers will be bumping into one another, or leaders will be bumping into one another, and they will still be connecting over the fact that they were part of this movement, of this community. I mean, I've had the pleasure of meeting some new heads in KYRA over the last couple of months as new heads have joined the Alliance or new heads have joined our schools. And when they ask me what KYRA is, it takes me a bit to explain it, because it's not a transactional relationship. It's not about finding somewhere to buy a service from or to provide CPD for you. That's not what KYRA has been about. It has always been a learning community. And so from that perspective, it's always been about what you can give and what you can receive. So when I look to the future, I want to see that strengthen. I mean, our ambition is to really shine a light on excellence in the system. It's to highlight the very best practice that we've got across our schools, not just so we can celebrate it, although of course we will, but more that we can learn from it and that we can replicate it and that we can share it elsewhere. So when I look into the future, I hope that people bump into one another and they recognise that KYRA DNA, that commitment to collective professionalism, to collective accountability. And I see schools thriving and growing in depth of partnership as well. So I think the work on peer review is going to be really important for KYRA to push into in the next 12 months, in the next 2 years. And having gone through the pandemic together and very much together, as we come out the other side of that, our commitment to get the best outcomes for our children and young people, it's never been more important. So I think that focus, if you like, on the quality of what's happening in our classrooms at the front line, it needs to be where we put our energies going forwards. And in terms of sustainability, the KYRA model has always been built on reciprocity. It's always been built on the idea that we're better together and that we've got a collective responsibility. So that's where the sustainability of the KYRA work will continue as we push into the future. So I am excited about celebrating 10 next year, but I'm also excited about celebrating 20. And so the future remains bright for our schools.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Well, as ever, it's been completely inspiring listening to your passionate vision for KYRA today and for the future. So thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for watching KYRA. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Bye.